YouTubers? I'm really excited about today's video. I'm in total geek mode. We're going to make a Star Wars lightsaber cake topper that actually lights up and there's no wiring required. I've been wanting to do something Star Wars themed for a while, and I was looking at making the cake topper with pretzels and fondant and chocolate, and a friend of mine said, nah, you need to make the thing light up. I looked at him like you're freaking crazy. But after a couple weeks of playing around, this is what I came up with. Rogue One comes out at the end of the year, and The Force Awakens hits HBO this coming weekend, so I thought it was a good time to go ahead and do this. There's quite a few things needed for this. Some of it you'll already have at home. As always, what you need is in the description box. We also give out some fondant measures that's also in the description box for you. In the next video, we'll make a cake and I'll show you how to put the topper on. So please join our channel so you don't miss out on that. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do to create our lightsaber cake topper is do the fondant work. So you're going to need some white fondant, and you're going to need some plumbing tubing. This is a 1/2 inch. This is flex tubing that I found at my local hardware store. You can also use PVC, and I cut it to a 5-inch length. Then you're going to need some color mist by Wilton. You're going to need a black and a silver. You're also going to need just a little bit of red food coloring. This is just the little bottle of red food coloring that you can pick up at your local grocery store. Then you're going to need an X-Acto knife or a box cutter. And down here I have a couple of different sized lids. This is 1 1/4 inch around, and this is 1 1/2. And this is a Wilton number 12 decorator tip. That's what we're going to use to create the handle for our lightsaber. Let's get started. I've rolled out some fondant to 1/8 of an inch thick. You want it to be about 1/8 of an inch, no thicker. And first I'm going to cut out a 1 1/2 inch circle using my lid here. Next I'm going to use my 1 1/4 inch lid, and I'm going to cut out 3 circles. Now I'm going to use the large end of my number 12 decorator tip to cut circles out of the middle of each of the 4 circles that we just cut out of our fondant. Next, once again, I'm going to use my number 12 decorator tip, and I'm going to use the small round side, and I'm going to cut out 3 little tiny circles. Now I'm going to cut out a 2 inch by 3 inch rectangle. I'm just using this plastic wrap box that just happens to be 2 inches wide. And I'm just going to use my box cutter and use the box as a template. Now that I have my 2 by 3 rectangle cut out, I'm going to take a little bit of water. I'm just going to use this paintbrush here and spread it on the back. Next, I'm going to roll my fondant around my plastic pipe. Now that we've attached our fondant to our pipe, we'll just set all this that we've just cut aside to dry. While our fondant's drying, we're going to do some arts and crafts here. And you're going to need some parchment paper, not wax paper. It needs to be parchment paper. This is going to serve as a light diffuser for our lightsaber. You're going to need some Scotch tape, Elmers glue, a pair of scissors, and a colored milkshake straw. Keep in mind that the color of your straw is going to be the color of your lightsaber. I've chosen a blue here. The typical colors are red, blue, and green for lightsabers, so you want to get the color that matches your theme. Let's go ahead and get started with our arts and crafts. I cut out a 5-inch long by 4-inch wide piece of parchment paper, and in this little bowl I have some Elmer's glue, and I'm just going to use a little paintbrush here, and I'm going to paint my glue all over one side of my parchment paper. Now I'm going to take my milkshake straw and I'm going to wrap my parchment paper around the straw. We're going to start at one edge of the straw and we're just going to carefully roll it up. I let my glue dry for about 30 minutes, and as you can see, I want the milkshake straw to fit into my 1/2 inch pipe, and it's a little bit loose. So all we're going to do is take some Scotch tape and we're just going to wrap it around our milkshake straw here at this other end. And we're just going to wrap enough around so it fits snugly inside our pipe, but can still be taken out. We're ready to do a little bit of painting of our fondant, and here I have one of those little tiny bitty circles that we cut out. These are going to be the buttons for our lightsaber. I'm not sure you'll even be able to see it on this paper towel. And I have a little bit of red food coloring here, and I'm just going to use my paintbrush and paint this button red. Now we'll just let this dry completely. Here I have one of my 1 1/4 inch rings, my 1 1/2 inch ring, one of my little buttons, and the fondant that we wrapped around our pipe, and we're going to paint all of these silver. So I'm using the silver color mist, and I've shaken the can up well, and we're just going to spray this just like it was spray paint. You don't want to put heavy coats on. It's better to put a few lighter coats on. For the handle, I'll just hold it here and we'll do the same thing. For the handle, you want to put this in a glass. You don't want to lay this down. Let it dry standing up. Also, for all of our pieces, be sure to get the edges. It's going to be very important that the edges are nicely covered. Lastly, I have my last two 1 1/4 inch rings and my last button, and I'm going to use the black color mist on these. You can use black fondant if you'd prefer. Welcome to day 2 of our lightsaber cake topper tutorial. Here are all my fondant pieces that we made yesterday, and I got them all painted last night and they're drying. They've still got probably 2 to 3 more days to dry completely, but our buttons and the piece of our handle here are dry enough that we're ready to put the buttons onto our handle. Let's go ahead and get that done. I have a very small paintbrush here and a little bit of water, and my handle, I have a little bit of a seam in the back, so this is going to be the front of my handle, and that's where we want to install our buttons. First, I'm going to install the red button, and I'm going to put just a little tiny bit of water on the back of my button, and I'm going to install it near the top of my handle. The black one, but do the same thing. And I'm going to line it up with the red button here and put it right underneath it. The silver button, again, a little water on the back, and I'm putting it in line with my red and black buttons towards the very bottom. That's all there is to putting our buttons on our handle. Now we're going to let these dry for another 2 to 3 days. The last couple things that you're going to need is our LED lights. These are the bright white. Some places call them cool white. You don't want to get the warm light LEDs. They come on a wire. They're waterproof and battery operated. There's 20 LEDs on this string. I really only need 10, but every place seems to be sold out of those, so we'll make these work. I've put a link in the description box to where you can find them on Amazon. And you need a plastic test tube. Be sure it's plastic, not glass. This is 16 millimeters by 125 millimeters. I found this at my local hobby and science store, but you can get them online as well. Let's go ahead and put our lightsaber together. We're ready to put our lightsaber together. So the first step is to take this part of our handle and we're going to insert our milkshake straw. Then we're going to put on our test tube, and it fits right over the milkshake straw. Then we're going to start with one of our black rings, and we're going to slide it over the top of our test tube until it touches the handle. Then I'm going to take just a little bit of water on a paintbrush and put it on the top of this black ring. Next, we're going to take our 1 1/4 inch silver ring and slide it down onto our black ring. Once again, we'll put a little water on top of the silver ring, and we'll slide our second black ring down. Lastly, we'll do the same thing, put some water on top of the black ring, and then we're going to slide our 1 1/2 inch ring on top. We'll let this set for an hour or two so our rings bind together, and we'll be ready to install our lights. Installing our lights is very simple. We purposely did not attach these rings to this part of the handle, so this comes off, and you want to leave it that way so that you can get to your lights at any time. You can also pull the milkshake straw out should you need to. To put our lights in, all you need to do is take your LED string and stick it through the very end of our plastic tube. You want to make sure that your lights get right up to the very end of your milkshake straw. Now we'll put our test tube and rings back on. I'm going to put just a little piece of tape down here for now, just to hold the lights in place. Here's our completed Star Wars lightsaber cake topper. Let's turn out the lights and check it out. Let's go ahead and power up our lightsaber. I hope you enjoyed today's video on how to make the Star Wars lightsaber cake topper. We'll be putting it on a cake in our next video, so please join our channel so you don't miss out on that. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you back soon.